My country project was on Japan. Here are a few facts about Japan. Sushi is a Japanese dish of prepared vinegared rice, usually with some sugar and salt, accompanying a variety of ingredients such as seafood, vegetables, and occasionally tropical fruits. We tried to order it from Shogun yesterday, but DoorDash didn't deliver the sushi. Sushimi is a Japanese delicacy consisting of fresh, raw fish or meat sliced into thin pieces and often eaten with soy sauce. Many non-Japanese use the word sushi and sushimi interchangeably, but ultimately they are different. What is that? Is that the
This is a display of Japanese Army equipment in World War II. I'll tell you just a little bit of how we can figure that out. If you were in the Japanese Army, on your soft cover, your hat, or your helmet, there would be a star. If there was an anchor, that would be the Japanese Navy's landing force, kind of like our version of the Marines. The Japanese uniform was similar to the American uniform. The big difference was their cartridge belt was leather, which could tend to rot very easily. They would have pouches for ammunition. They'd have a canteen. You would have a weapon cleaning kit on the back and a bayonet attached to it. You would also have a haversack, which you could keep supplies in, and that was what you were asking me, some of this. This would be kept in what was called a comfort bag. The comfort bag was simply where you kept personal items. Maybe it would be a diary, where you would keep things, letters home would be kept in there, maybe candy or food that was sent home to you. But that would be in what was called a care package or care bag. The backpack, you've got several things that are included with this. One is going to be a blanket, okay? There's also on here a shovel, which is a two-piece, the handle and the blade. And in addition to that is your mess kit, cooking utensil. Inside the pack would be maybe an extra change of uniforms, maybe extra food or even extra ammunition. The extra pack they may carry. And you may keep extra ammunition in here, even grenades like I have here. These are two deactivated inert grenades. Smaller than the American grenade, had a less effective range, similar in the way it worked. You simply pull the safety pin out, and then you would strike the firing cap on something hard. Quite often they would just bang on their helmet and then throw that. But those could be kept in the bag as well. A lot of Japanese soldiers would go into battle with a personal flag. These would be signed by family members with, good luck, fight for the emperor. Because quite often you are not expected to come back home. The Japanese followed what was called the Code of Bushido, which was the way of the warrior.
So
to die for the emperor was an honor.
the surrender, that was like the worst thing you could do.
You did not surrender. Quite often when a Japanese soldier did surrender, because he was considered dead in the eyes of his family, they would tell the Americans whatever they needed to know, because they were considered to be dead, okay? The soft cover, which could be worn on the back, would have a havelock. A lot of people think this was designed to keep the sun off their neck. Partially true, but it was also designed to break up your image. The Japanese would fight very effectively at night. I put a regular, like a baseball hat on. At night, I still look like a person. You just see the silhouette of me. But with this would break up that outline. Is that a bush or is it a person?
Oh, yeah.
So it also worked as far as the camouflage. A superior private's rank, and this would be his name tag for identification. Now these are some of the basics that the Japanese soldier would have. He would have an Arisaka rifle, which is a bolt action rifle, where the Marines had a semi-automatic rifle, gave us a little bit more firepower.
Yeah.
The individual Japanese soldier would quite often use the rifle to get close enough so he could use his bayonet. Again, the Code of Bushido, the bayonet was a poor man's samurai sword, where an officer would have a samurai sword. The enlisted soldier would have the bayonet to use, so they were very, very good at that. Good at night fighting, good at camouflage, breaking up their image, sneaking up on the Americans. So they were very good at night fighting and using camouflage. And again, this is some of the basics. Last is the helmet. You see this like fishnet. This was designed to put branches through, bushes to again break up their silhouette to camouflage them. It has a canvas cover, which was designed to do two things. If you take a metal helmet, like maybe that middle German or the third row down, the World War I helmet, if that gets wet, it gets very shiny, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this keeps the shine off. Also, that metal is going to get hot, isn't it? This is going to act like insulation. It's going to keep this helmet from getting very hot. Again, this is just some of the basic equipment a Japanese soldier would have.
After learning about the Japanese uniform during World War II, let's learn some more about what happened after the war. Japan during World War II had 25 aircraft carriers, 12 battleships, 112 destroyers, and 404 tanks. After the war, though, the treaty restricted them quite a bit, and now they have 0 aircraft carriers, 0 battleships, but battleships are not used anymore, so it does not count, 155 destroyers, and 1,004 tanks. Ultimately, during their time, World War II Japan was stronger, which is to be expected because they did not have a treaty restricting them at the time. Although modern Japan has better technology, which is to be expected, we are not counting that they do. A kimono is a robe shaped like a T. Normal kimonos reach to the ankles and have very long sleeves. People wear a wide belt called an obi with their kimono. A geisha is a Japanese woman whose job is to entertain with song and dance. During ancient Japan, being a geisha was considered an art. As of recently, though, geishas are becoming less and less common in Japan, but there still are a handful remaining. Geisha commonly wore the kimono. The geta are sandals that keep your feet above the ground. They are used usually to stay above snow so your sandals don't get wet. Sumo is a form of competitive full-contact wrestling where a wrestler attempts to force his opponent out of a circular ring or into touching the ground with any body part other than the soles of his feet. The sport originated in Japan, the only country where it is practiced professionally. It is also the national sport of Japan. Even though sumo is the national sport of Japan, does not mean it is the most popular in Japan. In Japan, the most popular sport is baseball. The Japanese have their own league known as the Japanese Baseball League, or JBL for short. Henetsuki is a Japanese traditional game similar to badminton without a net, played with a rectangular wooden paddle called a haguriti and a brightly colored racket. Similar to baseball, the Japanese also like golf, with golf clubs all over Japan. A few companies that come from Japan are Mizuno, Miura, Vega, and Honma. Japan is an archipelago, or string of islands, on the eastern edge of Asia. There are 4 main islands: Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. There are also nearly 4,000 smaller islands. Japan's nearest mainland neighbors are the Siberian regions of Russia in the north and Korea and China farther south. And here is the Japanese national anthem. Thank you for watching my country project about Japan.